Hello, my name is Dylan Jones, Subject Officer for GCSE History. I'm going to provide you with an overview of the new Eduqas Specification for first teaching in September 2016. Eduqas is the new brand from WJEC. It provides Ofqual regulated reformed GCSEs and other qualifications. It's simply a vehicle for distinguishing clearly between qualifications for Wales and qualifications for England. There are many qualities to this qualification. The first thing that I'd like to talk about is clarity of assessment. We think that the SAMs that we've developed for the qualification are extremely clear. We also think that they are accessible to all students. We have high-quality examination materials, and we also produce extremely comprehensive teaching resources. We think that our qualification provides a great deal of stretch and challenge. We run excellent professional development courses. All of our courses are led by principal examiners and expertly trained CPD presenters. We also provide personal and friendly support from subject experts. The specification and sample assessment materials have been designed by teachers for teachers. All of the people who worked in the development process are teachers, have extensive experience of teaching, and certainly that was uppermost in their thinking in designing and constructing the specification for Eduqas. The specification is laid out in such a way that teachers will find it easy to navigate their way through the specification. In terms of questions, we've developed SAMs that we think enable learners to demonstrate what they know, understand, and can do. In developing the SAMs, we have catered for the whole ability range, so that there is something in the SAMs, there's something in the specification for students of all abilities. We have a very, very experienced team of senior examiners, principal examiners, and also chair of examiners. All of our principal examiners have extensive examining experience. Many of them have been examining for 20 years or more. You have direct access to subject experts via email, telephone. We pride ourselves on our ability to provide very swift feedback to all inquiries. We run face-to-face CPD, continuous professional development events. The full programme for these can be found on our website. Component 1 deals with studies in depth. This will involve a written examination of 2 hours, divided into 2 papers. One paper will focus on a British study in depth and will have 5 questions. The other paper of 1 hour will focus on non-British study in depth, again covering 5 questions. This component makes up 50% of the qualification. Component 2 is entitled Studies in Breadth. Component 2 covers the requirement to study a period and a thematic study, and in our specification, it also covers the historic site. This component covers 2 hours of examination, broken into 2 papers. Unlike Component 1, the timing of the papers is slightly different. The period study paper lasts 45 minutes and has 5 questions. The thematic study paper is 1 hour and 15 minutes and has 7 questions. The reason for the greater length of time for this paper, i.e. the thematic study paper, is that this paper contains questions on the historic site. Collectively, this makes up 50% of the qualification. There are 8 options in total in Component 1, but this is divided into 4 options for the British study in depth and 4 options for the non-British study in depth. Centres will choose one British study in depth to study and one non-British study in depth to study. So really, from a total of 8 options, centres will choose 2. The crucial point, and this is a very, very important point, is that each study in depth must come from different historical eras. Component 2 deals with studies in breadth. There are 8 studies in breadth in total, but again, this is divided between the period study and the thematic study. There are 4 period studies. Centres will choose 1 period study from a total of 4 options. There are 4 thematic studies, and again, centres will choose 1 thematic study from a total of 4 options. Crucially, and this is a very, very important point, Eduqas has incorporated the study of an historic site into the study of the thematic study. So it's really important to emphasise the point that when your students look at historic site, it sits in the context of their study of your chosen theme. We've used an asterisk to reinforce the point about choosing options from different historical eras. As you can see, there are 4 options, 1A to 1D, for the British study in depth. You will choose one of these for your centre. In the true spirit of the reform and the qualification, we've included new options which cover medieval history and an additional modern period. That is 1C, Empire, Reform and War, Britain 1890 to 1918. 1A provides a medieval option, conflict upheaval, England 1337 to 1381, and this of course will cover issues like the Black Death and the Peasants' Revolt. Component 1 also contains 4 options of non-British history. I should point out that in relation to Germany and transition, the time frame has been taken back to 1939, and clearly this was a deliberate choice to make that very interesting option a more manageable option both for centres and for candidates and for students. We have a range in terms of historical eras. So again, in the spirit of the reform, we have a medieval option, the Crusades, circa 1095 to 1149. Voyages of discovery and conquest of the Americas, option 1F. And those 2 options not only fulfil the spirit of the qualification, but also provide new and very, very interesting, very attractive options for you and your candidates, your students. Page 34 of the specification provides a full list of permitted combinations. We have 2 elements to component 2. First of all, the period studies. And again, we have 4 period studies on offer. Centres should choose 1 period study from the 4 that we offer. We also have new options and very attractive options covering a longer period in Russian history, 20th century Russian history, essentially from the end of NEP through to the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. And we also have a very interesting option on the development of the UK, 1919 to 1990. Centres should choose 1 thematic study from 4 options. It's important to point out that these thematic studies are British-based, and through a combination of studying these thematic studies and the British study in depth, all centres fulfil the requirement to study 40% British history. Importantly, the requirement to study an historic site is part of the thematic study. Each thematic study has a nominated historic site. For example, Health and Medicine nominates the village of Eyam during the Great Plague as an historic site, and so on. In terms of assessment, the historic site is assessed in the thematic papers. And question 6A and question 6B will always focus on the nominated historic site. I'm going to say a word about assessment objectives. AO1 is knowledge and understanding. AO2 is explanation and analysis. AO3 deals with source evaluation and source analysis. And AO4 deals with interpretations in history. The weightings are 35% for AO1, 35% for AO2, 15% for AO3, and 15% for AO4. The requirement to test interpretations in history is concentrated entirely in Component 1. Component 2 focuses mainly on AO1 and AO2, and therefore looks at causation, looks at change and continuity, similarity and difference over longer periods in history. As you can see, we've condensed all of the options into one page. Every option is divided into 7 key bullet points, 7 key questions. In terms of each of the sample assessment materials, we will focus questions on a number of those key questions. For the British depth studies, we have 5 questions, and those 5 questions will focus on 5 of the areas or 5 of the key questions in the specification. So, for example, the one that you've got in front of you is Austerity, Affluence and Discontent, Britain, 1951 to 1979. The SAMs focus on 5 of those key questions. The key point, however, is that there is no predictability here at all. The questions will focus on 5 of those areas, meaning that 2 of the areas will be left out in each examination series. Furthermore, the order in which those questions appear will be entirely random. So this mitigates against predictability completely. The layout of the thematic options is slightly different in the sense that you have 6 key questions, and the 7th area of or 7th part of that specification focuses on the historic site. And the key difference between the thematic paper and the thematic study and the other options is that the thematic paper will cover all 7 areas in the specification. But again, it'll be done in completely random order. We've given you one example from the 200 plus pages of SAMs that we developed. So this question focuses on immigration. We have tried to be innovative in terms of the types of questions that we've designed. This, we feel, is a new type of question. Candidates will be asked to make connections between 2 of the 4 given points. The full set of SAMs are to be found on the history qualification page. We have a number of endorsed textbooks, and those are published by Hodder Education. In addition to the Hodder Education resources, we have existing resources on the Digital Resources website, combining both the Hodder Education resources and our own digital resources. We feel that we've covered the specification as fully as we possibly can. We also have some really, really useful resources for teachers. The first of these is Online Exam Review, or OER. OER essentially provides examination responses which have been marked and annotated by principal examiners. We also provide exam results analysis, or ERA, and this facility allows teachers to compare the performance of individual students and the centre's entry as a whole with that of all Eduqas candidates for a particular qualification. We have a full programme of CPD events planned. All forthcoming CPD events will be available via the Eduqas website. If you require further information, details are provided on the website. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for listening to this, and we look forward to working with you in the future.